The most revolutionary discovery in quantum physics reveals something that changes everything about how wealth works. It's called the observer effect, and it proves that consciousness literally creates reality at the most fundamental level. But here's what they don't want you to know. The observer effect doesn't just apply to particles in laboratories. It applies to money, opportunities, and abundance in your daily life. The way you observe your financial reality is literally creating your financial experience. Right now, you're observing yourself as someone who struggles with money, someone who has to work hard for everything, someone who never has enough. And that observation is collapsing infinite possibilities into the limited reality you're experiencing. But what if I told you that the moment you let go of observing yourself as poor, millions of dollars worth of opportunities would begin finding you instead of you chasing them? Today, I'm going to show you how the quantum observer effect works in your financial life, why letting go of poverty consciousness is the key to attracting wealth, and exactly how to shift your observation so that abundance becomes inevitable instead of elusive. This isn't about positive thinking or visualization. This is about understanding and applying the most profound discovery in modern physics to completely transform your financial reality. The quantum field is responding to how you observe yourself right now. Change your observation, and you literally change what's possible in your financial life. Are you ready to discover how millionaires use the observer effect to make money find them? The observer effect in quantum physics has proven that consciousness doesn't just passively observe reality, it actively participates in creating reality. This discovery fundamentally changes how we understand the relationship between mind and matter, including money. At the quantum level, particles exist in what's called superposition, multiple potential states simultaneously. Only when an observer focuses attention on the particle does it collapse into a single definite state. Before observation, all possibilities exist. After observation, only one possibility remains. Your financial life works exactly the same way. At any moment you exist in financial superposition. You have access to infinite possibilities for wealth, abundance, and financial success. But the way you observe yourself determines which possibility collapses into your actual experience. When you observe yourself as poor, struggling, or financially limited, you collapse the wave function of infinite financial possibilities into the limited experience of scarcity. Your observation literally creates the reality you experience. The reason millionaires seem to attract money effortlessly is that they observe themselves differently. They don't observe themselves as people who struggle with money. They observe themselves as people who naturally have money. This observation creates their reality. This is why simply trying to make more money while maintaining poverty observation doesn't work sustainably. You might temporarily increase your income, but if you're still observing yourself as someone who struggles financially, you'll collapse that increased income back into struggle. The quantum money principle reveals why fake it till you make it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. When people successfully fake wealth observation, they actually shift their quantum state and create new financial realities. When they're just pretending while maintaining poverty observation, nothing changes. Your financial observation operates constantly, not just when you're thinking about money. The way you observe yourself while walking, talking, breathing, and existing is continuously collapsing financial possibilities into specific experiences. The quantum money principle is precise. Consciousness creates reality through observation. Change your observation of yourself from poor to abundant, and abundance becomes inevitable. Continue observing yourself as poor, and poverty remains regardless of your efforts. Most people are trapped in poverty observation without realizing it. They think they're being realistic about their financial situation, but they're actually creating more poverty through unconscious observation patterns that collapse abundance possibilities into scarcity experiences. Poverty observation isn't just about thinking you don't have money. It's a comprehensive way of observing yourself, your capabilities, your worth, and your relationship with abundance that creates limitation, regardless of your actual circumstances. The first poverty observation pattern is self-identity limitation. You observe yourself as not good with money, not the type who gets rich, or someone who has to struggle for everything. These identity observations create quantum states that make wealth feel foreign and temporary. The second pattern is capability observation. You observe yourself as limited in your ability to create value, solve problems, or generate income. You focus on what you can't do rather than what you can do. collapsing infinite creative possibilities into limited capability experiences. The third pattern is worth observation. You observe yourself as not deserving wealth, not valuable enough for abundance, or not important enough for financial success. This worth observation creates quantum states, where receiving money feels uncomfortable or temporary. The fourth pattern is relationship observation. You observe money as scarce, difficult to obtain, or requiring sacrifice of other values. You observe wealthy people as different from you, lucky, or somehow compromised. These observations create separation from abundance. The poverty observation trap is powerful because it feels realistic. Society validates poverty observation as responsible, practical, and realistic. People who observe themselves abundantly are often criticized as unrealistic, irresponsible, or delusional. But quantum physics reveals that poverty observation isn't realistic. It's creative. You're not accurately perceiving fixed reality. You're actively creating limited reality through your observation patterns. Breaking free from poverty observation requires recognizing that your financial circumstances are effects of your observation, not causes of your observation. You're not poor because circumstances made you poor. Circumstances are poor because your observation made them poor. The abundance observer is someone who has learned to observe themselves and their reality from quantum states that naturally create wealth, opportunities, and financial flow. This isn't about pretending or positive thinking. It's about authentic observation shifts that change quantum possibilities. The abundance observer recognizes that they are consciousness expressing itself through human experience, not a limited physical being subject to external circumstances. This fundamental observation shift changes everything about how reality responds to them. The first characteristic of abundance observation is identity fluidity. Abundance observers don't see themselves as fixed personalities with permanent limitations. They observe themselves as consciousness capable of expressing infinite possibilities, including wealth and success. The second characteristic is capability recognition. Abundance observers naturally notice their abilities, talents, and potential, rather than focusing on limitations or lacks. They observe themselves as naturally creative, resourceful, and capable of generating value. The third characteristic is worth assumption. Abundance observers operate from the fundamental assumption that they deserve wealth, abundance, and financial success. This isn't arrogance. It's recognition of their inherent value as conscious beings. The fourth characteristic is abundance relationship. Abundance observers see money as energy that flows naturally through conscious beings who provide value. They observe wealthy people as examples of what's possible, rather than as different or separate from themselves. The fifth characteristic is future certainty. Abundance observers observe their financial future with confidence and positive expectation. They don't worry about whether abundance will come. They observe it as inevitable based on their natural capabilities and conscious choice. The abundance observer naturally thinks in possibilities rather than limitations. When they encounter challenges, they observe them as temporary situations that can be solved rather than permanent problems that define their reality. Becoming an abundance observer requires practice because poverty observation has been conditioned through years of social programming. But the shift can happen quickly because observation is a choice that can be made in any moment. Understanding the observer effect intellectually is different from experiencing it practically. These quantum money experiments allow you to test how observation changes your financial reality and build confidence in consciousness-based wealth creation. Experiment 1. The bank account observation shift. For 1 week, change how you observe your bank account. Instead of checking it with anxiety about having enough, observe it with appreciation for money's ability to flow. Focus on money's movement and circulation rather than the amount. Experiment 2. The identity observation test. Spend 1 day observing yourself as someone who naturally attracts money and opportunities. Notice how this identity observation affects your behavior, conversations, and how others respond to you. Experiment 3. The capability recognition practice. For 3 days, consciously observe and acknowledge every skill, talent, and ability you have that could create value for others. Write them down and appreciate their potential. Experiment 4. The future. Certainty visualization. Spend 10 minutes daily for 1 week observing your financial future with complete certainty of abundance. Don't visualize specific amounts. Simply observe your future self as naturally wealthy. Experiment 5. The Opportunity Recognition Challenge. For 1 week, observe your environment, specifically looking for income opportunities, value creation possibilities, or abundance indicators that you might normally miss. These experiments work because they train you to observe yourself and money from quantum states that naturally create abundance rather than limitation. The experiments provide evidence that observation affects reality, building confidence in consciousness-based wealth creation. The key is approaching experiments with curiosity rather than desperation. You're exploring how consciousness affects reality, not trying to force specific outcomes. This relaxed exploration creates optimal conditions for quantum shifts. Millionaires have developed specific observation patterns that consistently create wealth and abundance. Understanding and adopting these patterns allows you to access the same quantum states that naturally generate financial success. The first millionaire observation pattern is natural worthiness. Millionaires observe themselves as naturally deserving of wealth, success, and abundance. They don't question whether they deserve money. They focus on how to create value that naturally attracts money. The second pattern is opportunity perception. Millionaires observe their environment as rich with opportunities rather than limited by obstacles. When they encounter challenges, they observe them as opportunities for creative solutions rather than permanent limitations. The third pattern is capability confidence. Millionaires observe themselves as naturally capable of learning, growing, and adapting to create value in changing circumstances. They focus on what they can do rather than what they can't do. The fourth pattern is value creation focus. Millionaires observe themselves primarily as value creators rather than income earners. They focus on how they can serve, contribute, and solve problems rather than how they can extract money from others. The fifth pattern is abundance relationship. Millionaires observe money as friendly energy that responds to conscious direction rather than scarce resource that must be hoarded or desperately pursued. The sixth pattern is future certainty. Millionaires observe their financial future with confidence and positive expectation. They don't worry about whether success will continue. They plan for continued growth and expansion. The seventh pattern is system thinking. Millionaires observe wealth creation as systematic rather than accidental. They focus on building systems that generate income automatically, rather than trading time for money indefinitely. These observation patterns can be practiced and developed regardless of current financial circumstances. The patterns create quantum states that naturally generate millionaire experiences over time. Once you understand how observation creates financial reality, you can consciously accelerate wealth creation by applying quantum principles with intention and precision. This acceleration happens through specific practices that optimize your observation for maximum abundance manifestation. Quantum wealth acceleration begins with coherent observation. Instead of scattered attention that observes multiple contradictory realities simultaneously, you learn to maintain consistent abundance observation across all areas of consciousness. The first acceleration technique is observation purification. Regularly examine your observation patterns to identify and eliminate poverty consciousness that interferes with abundance creation. The second technique is quantum state maintenance. Learn to sustain abundance observation consistently, rather than fluctuating between abundance and poverty consciousness throughout the day. The third technique is possibility expansion. Regularly challenge the limitations of your current financial imagination by observing possibilities that exceed your previous conception of what's achievable. The fourth technique is energy coherence. Align your physical energy, emotional energy, and mental energy with abundance observation, rather than allowing energy leaks through worry, doubt, or resistance. The fifth technique is resistance dissolution. Identify and resolve internal conflicts that create resistance to wealth manifestation, such as unworthiness beliefs, success fears, or wealth guilt. The sixth technique is manifestation momentum. Use successful manifestations to build confidence and energy for larger manifestations, creating accelerating cycles of abundance creation. Advanced practitioners learn to feel quantum shifts before they manifest physically, developing sensitivity to energy changes that predict external transformations. The $1 million mindset isn't about wanting $1 million. It's about observing yourself and reality from consciousness states that naturally create $1 million experiences. This mindset represents a complete paradigm shift from limitation to unlimited possibility. The foundation of $1 million mindset is recognizing yourself as consciousness, rather than just a physical being subject to external limitations. When you identify as consciousness, you understand that your creative potential is literally unlimited. The first characteristic is scale thinking. You naturally think in terms of large numbers, significant impact, and major value creation rather than limiting yourself to small, safe, incremental goals. The second characteristic is system orientation. You focus on creating systems that generate wealth automatically rather than trading your personal time for money indefinitely. The third characteristic is value obsession. You become fascinated with creating enormous value for large numbers of people, rather than focusing primarily on personal income or profit extraction. The fourth characteristic is problem solver identity. You observe yourself as someone who naturally solves significant problems that many people experience, creating value that justifies substantial compensation. The fifth characteristic is investment consciousness. You naturally invest in yourself, your development, and your vision rather than hoarding resources or avoiding risks that could accelerate growth. The sixth characteristic is collaboration mastery. You excel at creating win-win scenarios where everyone benefits abundantly, rather than competing for limited resources. Developing million-dollar mindset requires releasing smaller identity patterns that feel safe, but create limited results. This includes employee consciousness, small business thinking, and survival-based decision-making. The ultimate million-dollar mindset recognizes that wealth is consciousness expressing itself through human experience, making million-dollar manifestations natural expressions of unlimited creative potential. This protocol provides a systematic approach to applying quantum observer effect principles for specific money manifestation goals. It combines theoretical understanding with practical application for measurable financial results. Phase 1. Quantum State Assessment. Begin by honestly evaluating your current observation patterns regarding money, wealth, and financial success. Identify specific poverty consciousness patterns that need to be shifted. Phase 2. Identity Reconstruction. Consciously design the financial identity you want to embody, someone who naturally attracts and manages the amount of money you want to manifest. Phase 3. Observation Purification. Systematically eliminate observation patterns that support poverty consciousness while strengthening patterns that support abundance consciousness. Phase 4. Quantum Coherence Development. Align your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and identity with your desired financial reality, rather than maintaining mixed signals. Phase 5. Manifestation Acceleration. Apply specific techniques that amplify your abundance observation and accelerate the collapse of financial possibilities into desired experiences. The daily practice protocol involves morning abundance observation activation, throughout the day observation maintenance, and evening integration review. Morning activation includes 10 minutes of conscious abundance observation, where you observe yourself as naturally wealthy, capable, and deserving of financial success. Feel this observation in your body, not just in your mind. Throughout the day, maintenance involves catching poverty observation patterns and consciously shifting to abundance observation. Set phone reminders to check your observation state every few hours. Evening review includes acknowledging any evidence of abundance from the day, appreciating manifestation progress, and setting intention for continued abundance observation during sleep. Success with the protocol depends more on observation consistency than on perfect technique execution. Your consciousness shift is what creates results, not flawless adherence to procedures. Once you master the quantum observer effect for financial manifestation, new possibilities emerge that transcend money goals and enter the realm of consciousness mastery and unlimited creative potential. Beyond financial manifestation lies the recognition that money was never the real goal. It was the development of consciousness abilities that allow you to create any experience through observation and aligned action. The first transcendence is recognizing money as energy rather than ultimate goal. When you can manifest money consistently through consciousness, you understand that money is simply one form of energy expression that serves larger purposes. The second transcendence is developing reality creation mastery that extends beyond financial manifestation into all areas of experience: health, relationships, creativity, and spiritual development. The third transcendence is moving from personal manifestation to collective manifestation, where your consciousness contributes to planetary abundance, social healing, and species evolution. The fourth transcendence is understanding money as spiritual practice rather than material goal, using financial manifestation to develop non-attachment, generosity, trust, and other consciousness qualities. The final transcendence is recognizing that all manifestation is consciousness, exploring its own infinite creative potential through apparent individual experiences that are actually expressions of universal consciousness. Those who transcend financial manifestation often find that money continues flowing abundantly because they're aligned with universal principles that support all forms of abundance. But money no longer dominates their attention or defines their success. The quantum observer effect reveals the most profound truth about wealth creation. You are not trying to get money from outside yourself. You are consciousness expressing abundance through human experience. Every moment, you're collapsing infinite financial possibilities into specific experiences through how you observe yourself, your capabilities, and your relationship with abundance. Change your observation, and you literally change what's possible in your financial life. The poverty observation trap has kept millions of people creating limitation through unconscious attention patterns that focus on lack, struggle, and financial impossibility. But this trap dissolves the moment you understand that observation creates reality, rather than just perceiving it. Millionaires intuitively use quantum observer principles by maintaining observation patterns that consistently create wealth, opportunities, and financial flow. You can adopt these same observation patterns regardless of your current circumstances, because observation is a choice that's available in every moment. Letting go of being poor doesn't mean pretending you have money you don't have. It means releasing poverty identity patterns that collapse infinite abundance possibilities into limited financial experiences. Your financial reality will transform as rapidly as your observation patterns change. Some people experience immediate shifts, while others notice gradual improvements as abundance consciousness integrates and stabilizes. What's certain is that consciousness creates reality through observation. This isn't spiritual belief, it's quantum physics applied to daily life. Your willingness to observe differently determines how quickly your financial reality transforms. If this awakens recognition of your unlimited potential, leave one word in the comments that captures your commitment to abundance observation. That word becomes your quantum declaration of financial transformation. And if you're ready to master consciousness-based wealth creation, subscribe to continue exploring how quantum principles create millionaire experiences through observation mastery. The quantum field is responding to how you observe yourself right now. Observe limitation and experience limitation. Observe abundance and watch millions find you instead of you chasing them. Your consciousness is the most powerful wealth creation technology ever discovered. Learn to use it consciously, and financial abundance becomes inevitable rather than accidental. Welcome to Quantum Wealth Creation through Observation Mastery.